The Mandalorian, episode 2, season 2. Good episode. Good episode. Didn't have the fights, the fist fights, as the other one. I kind of like those, but it was a good episode. This one, Mando has to transport a woman, I'm assuming it's a woman, a frog-like entity across space. He has a problem. He can't use hyperspace, so he has to just like regular drive. It's like, I guess for us, driving across country without being able to use the highway. You just got to use the streets. It's going to take forever. So that's the situation, because she has younglings, eggs. You know, she's a frog chick, so she's got eggs. And something that I found a little bit disturbing, a little cute, you know, Baby Yoda was eating her eggs. You know, I mean, he was gobbling them. He must have got 5 of them or something. And something that concerned me more was she didn't really seem to care that he was eating her eggs. These are like her kids, I guess, her offspring. She had them in like a water-filled container, and she had to have known how many was in there. I mean, if you've got kids, you know how many you probably know how many kids you got. So, and I mean, if they just started going missing, you'd notice that, right? Especially if they lived in your house. She didn't seem to notice, or maybe she didn't seem to care. I mean, there was a bunch of them in there, but you know, she had to have been able to count them. And then eventually, because Baby Yoda kept eating them, Mando had to put like a cage on top of her container, and he's like, no, stop eating those. And she's like, you know, basically she's like, what's up with the cage? So she had to know something was going on. He's eating her babies, you know. Baby Yoda was like a vampire thing. He's like, bloop, eating the babies. And I was like, that's horrible. But it gets worse, because as they're driving through space, they get pulled over by some rebel TIE fighters. And they're like, hey man, what's going on, man? Where's your license plate is wrong. You know, they're stopping him because he's not giving off a signal or whatever. And he's like, oh man, it's okay. I made a mistake. I forgot to hit the button. They're like, okay, we'll hit it now. He's like, oh, you know what? Actually, it's broke. And they're like, uh-huh. Yeah, we're gonna need you to pull over or whatever. They wanted to check him out. He didn't want to be checked out. So he starts to try to fly and get away from him. But in regular space, his ship's not really that fast, so they can keep up with him. And they're like, come on, man, don't make us blow you out of the sky, man. We don't want to do that. Don't make us shoot you, dog. And he runs, you know, ends up on like an ice planet, and they follow him. And he escapes. He goes through the clouds. He escapes. He goes through a mountain and gets away. Or so he thinks. He bangs his ship up. It's got to land on the planet and everything. You know, he's telling the chick, don't leave, man. Just stay here in the ship. Let me fix this thing and we'll be out of here. So he's working on it, and Baby Yoda's like, hey, that chick left. So he's like, okay, well, that sucks. So he starts to look for her. And for some reason, she decided that she was going to leave the ship, the safety of the ship, on this planet that she doesn't know anything about, in a cave that she's never been to, strip, bucket naked, and get in the water and take a bath. I mean, how dirty could you have been, really? You know, I mean, just imagine you go out in some woods where it could be lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, and you're just gonna get butt naked and take a bath? That didn't make any sense. But when she did that, you know, Mando and the child, they go and they're checking him out, checking her out, and they're like, hey man, you gotta put these eggs back in there. We gotta get out of here. So, and then the Yoda tries to eat another egg. Wacky. And Mando's like, no, stop that. Stop, you tripping. So he wanders off, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, this looks like Alien. With the little eggs that had the face suckers that would jump on your face, wrap around your neck, and then plant an egg in you, then bust out of your chest. I'm like, man, that would suck. Is that what's about to happen? And then he touches one of the little pods, because his pods are everywhere. He touches one, Yoda does, little baby Yoda, and it opens up. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. And it looks like a baby face sucker from the movie Aliens comes out. It's kind of like a spider. It looked kind of like a spider. It comes out, he grabs it, boop, and eats it. I'm like, that's crazy. So the rest of them start popping open. And I'm like, you gotta run, you better run, you better run. So he tells Mando, hey, look at this stuff. Look what I started. Mando grabs a chick, grabs babies, like, we gotta run. And spiders, they're spider eggs. Spiders come from everywhere. This was the scariest. I mean, I'm not gonna watch this and can't sleep at night, but this was the scariest of the shows that they did so far. This was definitely supposed to be their horror-esque show. So they're running and the spiders are coming out and everything, and he's blasting the spiders, and they're running and he's setting bombs and they're blowing up, and the spiders are still coming. And they get to the ship, and now they're like, oh, it's gonna get through the ship. It starts to tear through the ship. And I'm like, why are they gonna survive that? Because they're on this planet. They don't know where they're at. They're on an ice planet, or at least this part's ice. They're in this cave surrounded by these gigantic spiders. Some of them are bigger than the spaceship. And I'm like, wow, they are not gonna make it. And out of nowhere, bam, 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 somebody starts shooting the spiders up, right? Which is cool, because they needed that. And then I'm saying to myself, that dude looks familiar. The rebel guy, he looks familiar. And I looked him up. He played Kim in Kim's Convenience Store. So he was this Korean grocery store owner, sort of like Korean Archie Bunker. And he's now doing a Disney thing, which is cool. He's in a Disney movie. But I thought it was interesting because the guy that plays his son in that show is also doing a Disney Marvel movie. He's Shang-Chi. And I was like, wow, that's a coincidence. But, so they're surrounded, they blast all these spiders and everything, and it turns out that they were like, dude, we weren't going to arrest you, man. I mean, here's a warrant out for your arrest. But it also says that you saved some people that we're cool with, so maybe we're not going to arrest you. But there is a bounty. So he's like, look, man, why don't y'all you keep that money from the bounty, which I guess they'd have to turn him in to get the money. He's like, keep the money from the bounty and just, help me with my ship. And they're like, no, I don't think so. And they left. I thought that was pretty uncool. They just going to leave the dude there in the middle of this spider-infested cave. I mean, they blast all the ones that was there, but there's got to be more spiders there. Ship's all torn up. They just left him there to die, I guess. I'm like, what's that all about? Previous episode, Boba Fett. They showed Boba Fett, so I am waiting to see what happens with Boba Fett and the Black Saber. They showed that last season. There's a lot of things, a lot of Star Wars stuff that's coming into play now. Interesting stuff that's like more than just Darth Vader and Han Solo, Chewbacca, and the twins. It's more stuff, and I'm interested in more stuff because it's an entire universe. It's got all kinds of stuff happening. So let's check all this other stuff that's happening, man. And they're doing that. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and I dig that. In fact, I dig it so much that I'm going to give this season thus far, and especially this episode, 8 bags of popcorn. Man, 8 bags of popcorn. Because that's what I think about that. But more importantly, what do you think about that? Have you seen the episode 2, season 2, episode 1, season 2? I hope so, because we did a lot of spoilers right here. So I should probably put there's going to be a spoiler warning. I'm going to put that at the beginning, so I won't say it, but you'll see it. If you dug it, because I dug it. Let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Popcorn passport. Get your popcorn passport.